Everyone wants clarity in the country at the moment over Brexit. So can I start by asking, what is your position on no deal?
Well, no deal is not an option that's going to be available to the next Prime Minister, whoever they are, because Parliament has already made clear that it would stop no deal. Ahead of March, Parliament took this constitutionally unprecedented step of legislating against the desires of the government to stop no deal. And we've already heard that they've made clear that they would do that again. So the question is, how do we deliver Brexit through this Parliament? Because the other alternative of having a general election is obviously a bad idea. The country doesn't want it, and the Conservative Party is in no position to call a general election. So we need to deliver Brexit through this Parliament.
We'll come back to a general election, because of course you would say that, especially after disastrous results in both the European elections and local elections. It doesn't suit the Conservatives. It may suit the country to get rid of you. You just don't want to put that out there. But in terms of a no-deal Brexit, can I ask for your take on that very, very clearly? Not what Parliament says or what your fellow colleagues have said. What is your take? Because you are trying to be the Prime Minister.
I'm absolutely clear that we have to level with people about the options that are available. And the option of a no-deal Brexit, even though I've prepared for it in the health service, I've done probably more than any other minister to make sure that we mitigated it. And in that sense, I'm not against it, but it won't happen because Parliament won't allow it.
You're not against no deal. Do you not think no deal would harm business?
I think that it is far, far better. The best option is to leave the European Union with a deal. I've been absolutely clear about that all the way through. Yes, absolutely.
So why then this morning on television, in another interview, did you say that if Boris Johnson was Prime Minister and beat you in this race and you were serving in his cabinet and he took us out without a deal on the 31st of October, that you would support it?
Because I think that it's very important, after this leadership debate, that the Conservative Party comes together. And I'd want all of those who've declared themselves as candidates to serve in a government that I would form. And likewise, if another one, then I'd be happy to serve. I'd be happy to do my duty by the country. And that means pulling together to get this country out of this difficult phase that we're in.
You say you want a deal. This is a very important question as well to be able to get some clarity on, or at least try. How are you going to get a new one that can get through Parliament when no new deals are on the table from the European Union?
Well, the European Union have been clear that they are open to discussions about the future arrangements. And this debate has been focused very much on the withdrawal agreement, which is, the vehicle that gets us out of the EU, and not nearly enough on what our long-term future arrangements with the EU need to be. And that's where we need to be having the debate.
You are in a situation there where you're saying change the emphasis, let's look to the future arrangement, but you have to get a deal through first. So you haven't answered the question. What are you actually going to get that's any different?
The deal is a combination of the withdrawal agreement and where we go in future. And that part is up for negotiation with the EU, and it's up for discussion. And that's the part that we can change.
But that's not the part that has blocked it. That's not the only part that's blocked it. You've got to sort out the withdrawal bill. So let me ask you in a slightly different way. What do you have, Matt Hancock, that Theresa May doesn't?
Well, I'm being completely straightforward about the real trade-offs that exist. Now, I haven't started in this saying that, no deal is better than a bad deal. I haven't started from the point of view of saying that. I've started from the point of view of saying we've got to be brutally honest about the real constraints that will face the next Prime Minister, whoever they are. And those constraints are real, and the only way through is by being truthful about them. and
So
including
are you saying the Prime Minister? Are you saying the Prime Minister has been lying?
I'm saying that she came to this from a different point of view, and I'm being absolutely clear about the position now. But most importantly, the way through this is to have the discussion and to bring people around based on what our long-term relationship is going to be. That's the only way to get through it.
But that still doesn't deal with the backstop.
To move forward into all the other things.
Yeah, but that doesn't deal with the backstop. It doesn't deal with the customs union. In any of your answers just now, you've said, oh, I'm going to be true to what I believe. You haven't said what you actually believe. You haven't said what your negotiating terms are going to be. It simply sounds like you think going in there as a fresh guy into the negotiations with some focus on what you think your colleagues can get around is going to change the game completely.
Well, I definitely think that it will help, but I also have been very clear on a whole series of areas. Like you mentioned a customs union. I think that's the wrong approach. You know, we voted to leave the EU, and we need to make sure that we leave it not then constantly taking the rules from the EU, but instead as an independent country.
Okay, so what are you going to present differently to Parliament? Can you actually outline a couple of clear points that you think will get your own colleagues, never mind the rest of the House, on board?
Yes, one I've already mentioned, which is that the alternative arrangements, the different way of dealing with the border in Northern Ireland is the one thing that has brought the Conservatives together. And that is, that's different from what the Prime Minister was proposing in her deal, and it will help to take us forward. But the other thing is...
I'm sorry, I have to say, I think I follow this quite closely. I don't understand what you just said. What is different about what you just said?
Well, the difference is that the alternative arrangements have not been at the forefront of the policy that was part of the deal put forward before. Instead, the proposed future arrangements were to build on the backstop, and that is materially different.
Let me just finish by asking you this. Your odds at the moment, bookies have aggregated it to be at 3% in this 11-horse race. I know you're a keen horse rider. Why are you really doing this? Because you're not going to win.
Because the front runners never won a Conservative leadership race in the past, and part of the reason, I think, is that lots of people end up bringing their arguments to the fore. I just think we need a fresh face. I think we need to turn a page on the politics of the last few years. We need somebody who hasn't been, as involved in all of the rows and the rancour, and instead we need to move forwards. Ultimately, there's a huge argument going on between those who basically believe in the free enterprise, free society, the system that we have, and those who want to tear it all down. And I want to get on to winning those battles, because that's what really matters for the prosperity of this nation over the years and the decades to come.
You're saying Parliament won't allow no deal, but then when you're asked for your opinion, you say you'd serve a Prime Minister who would put a no deal through, even though you believe a deal would be better. So you'll go for no deal when it's good for your career in the Cabinet, and you'll go against no deal only by hiding behind the shield of Parliament. I put it to you again. Matt Hancock, as someone who wants to be Prime Minister, what do you believe is best for this country, not what's possible?
What I believe is best for this country is to deliver Brexit on a deal. And that is what we must do. And that's my absolutely clear policy and has been throughout this process. What we need to do is get a deal through Parliament. And that is the task ahead. It's the best way to deliver on the result of the referendum. There are some people who are saying we shouldn't deliver on the result of the referendum. I think that they're completely wrong. But the best way to leave is with a deal, emphatically, because that way we can deliver on the result and do so in a way that is orderly and well organised and supports businesses and jobs and the economy, which is so important. Right? That is what the what we've been trying to do.
Sorry,
and what we need to do.
I have to come in at this point. You made the front pages of the Financial Times this morning because you were saying, in reference to what Boris Johnson said about business and the fear of no deal amongst the business community, he said famously, fuck business. And you said, fuck business, which is in regards to the idea of not caring about business. And you can actually sit here and say completely openly that you think that a deal would be better for business and for this country. And in the same breath say,
yes,
you'd be very happy to sit in a cabinet under Boris Johnson as leader and support him taking us out of the EU without a deal. That's not leadership, and why should people trust you?
Well, I'm extremely clear about what needs to happen for this country and what would happen if I win this race and I'm Prime Minister. And I'm also clear that anybody who pushes for no deal will find that Parliament will stop it. Parliament's made that very clear. So it's straightforward, really. We can't have a general election before we've delivered Brexit. That means we have to deliver Brexit with this Parliament as we find it, not as we might wish it. And that means that we need to deliver a Brexit that this Parliament will accept, because otherwise it will stop, for instance, a no-deal Brexit. I couldn't be clearer. And that is also the best way to get through what happens, to get through Brexit. The best way to get through Brexit is to leave with a deal so that we can keep our economic strength whilst also delivering on the result of the referendum.
You are somebody who wants to deliver the most important deal this country has had since World War II. The Green Paper for the social care has been delayed in this country 6 times by the government. And in January, you said it would be published before April. We're about to go into June. Where is it?
Well, the Green Paper was part of the package on social care. We have put in the extra funding for social care, a 9% increase over the last few years. But of course we also need a long-term solution. You can only get long-term solutions to these sorts of things if they broadly have consensus, because ultimately the social care system is about what happens to us in 20, 30, 40 years' time, and it needs to stay the test of time. The ability to get that sort of consensus has been extremely difficult amid the Brexit row. For instance, when one proposal was put forward from a colleague, the Labour front bench immediately attacked it. And so there hasn't been the bandwidth in Parliament to be able to get that sort of long-term consensus. I'm absolutely sure that that can be done in time, and we have we've been working on proposals. But yes, that has been difficult. There's other areas where we've been able to make an awful lot of progress, like the long-term plan for the NHS.
Your own colleagues are very frustrated they haven't been able to publish this paper, which, may I add, is written and ready to go. So if you can't even deliver the early stages of social care, how on earth should we believe that you can deliver the Brexit deal?
Well, one of the things I've been frustrated with is the ability to get on with other stuff other than Brexit. I agree. I mean, I'm somebody with a reputation for being able to get stuff done. And it's a source of frustration to me that on this one we haven't been able to. But on other areas, in like bringing new technology into the NHS, putting in the largest funding settlement in its history, having the long-term plan, which is all about prevention of ill health rather than just helping people to get better afterwards, we've made significant progress.
Matt,
I look forward very much to making progress on social care in future.
If you don't get it, you've made a very good pitch today to be Chancellor, haven't you, by positioning your bid very closely to business. Do you think you'll do a better job than Philip Hammond has?
I'm running to win, and I'm very pro-business. It's absolutely true, because that's where the jobs and prosperity comes from. And I look forward to being a very pro-business Prime Minister.